Maine Governor Janet Mills found herself at the center of a national controversy following a tense exchange with former President Donald Trump. Trump, known for his combative style and no-holds-barred approach to politics, was visiting Maine for a rally. During his visit, he publicly criticized Mills, a Democrat, for her handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Videos of their heated exchange quickly went viral, turning the local political clash into a national news story. The incident highlighted the deep political divisions within Maine and across the country, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown between the two sides. The confrontation between Trump and Mills was more than just a war of words. It represented a clash of ideologies and governing philosophies. Trump, a staunch conservative, had frequently criticized Democratic governors for their COVID-19 policies, accusing them of overreach and government overreach. Mills, on the other hand, defended her administration's approach, arguing that she was prioritizing the health and safety of Maine residents. The viral nature of their exchange amplified these differences, turning a local political dispute into a national debate about the role of government and the best way to address a public health crisis. The incident also underscored the enduring influence of Donald Trump on American politics, even after leaving office. His ability to command media attention and mobilize his base remained potent, as evidenced by the immediate and vocal support he received from his followers in Maine and beyond. The confrontation with Mills demonstrated that Trump remained a force to be reckoned with in American politics, capable of shaping national conversations and influencing local political battles. His involvement in Maine politics injected a level of intensity and national attention rarely seen in state-level politics. The fallout from the Trump-Mills confrontation was swift and significant. It energized both sides of the political spectrum, with Trump supporters rallying behind the former president and Mills's allies, condemning what they saw as an attack on her leadership. The incident also had a ripple effect on Maine politics, emboldening MAGA supporters and prompting them to take more aggressive action against Mills and her policies. The confrontation therefore served as a catalyst for the subsequent recall effort, transforming a local political dispute into a high-stakes battle with national implications. Fueled by the viral confrontation between Trump and Mills, a group of Maine residents, many of whom identify as MAGA supporters, launched a petition to recall Governor Mills. Recall elections, while relatively rare, allow voters to remove elected officials from office before their term expires. The petition accused Mills of a range of grievances, including her handling of the pandemic, her economic policies, and her alleged infringement on personal liberties. The recall effort quickly gained momentum, attracting thousands of signatures from Mainers disillusioned with Mills's leadership and eager for a change in the governor's mansion. The recall petition represented a culmination of growing frustration among a segment of Maine's population towards Governor Mills's policies. These frustrations, simmering beneath the surface for months, were ignited by the public clash with Trump. The petition became a rallying point for those who felt unheard and unrepresented by the Mills administration, providing them with a platform to voice their grievances and demand change. It tapped into a deep well of political discontent, particularly among rural voters and those who felt left behind by the state's changing economic landscape. The organizers of the recall campaign sought to capitalize on the momentum generated by the Trump-Mills confrontation, using it to energize their base and attract new supporters. They portrayed the recall effort as a fight for freedom and a stand against government overreach, framing Mills's policies as a threat to their way of life. Their messaging resonated with a segment of the population that felt increasingly alienated from the political process and saw the recall as a way to reclaim their voice in government. The petition drive, therefore, became a vehicle for channeling popular discontent into concrete political action. The recall effort, while fueled by anger and frustration, also revealed the deep partisan divisions that have come to define American politics. The lines between state and national politics blurred as the recall effort transformed into a proxy battle between Trumpism and the Democratic establishment. It became a microcosm of the larger political struggle playing out across the country, pitting conservative values against liberal ideals, rural communities against urban centers, and the politics of resentment against the politics of hope. The recall petition, therefore, transcended a local political dispute, evolving into a symbolic battleground for the soul of Maine and, in many ways, the future of American democracy. Maine's constitution allows for the recall of elected officials, but the process is far from simple. The law, designed to prevent frivolous attempts to remove elected leaders, sets a high bar for initiating a recall election. Petitioners must gather signatures from a significant percentage of registered voters within a limited time frame. More importantly, the petition must cite specific grounds for recall, such as criminal misconduct or abuse of power. General dissatisfaction with an official's policies or governing style is not considered sufficient justification for a recall in Maine. This legal framework poses a significant hurdle for the recall campaign against Governor Mills. The framers of Maine's constitution recognized the potential for abuse inherent in recall provisions. They understood that allowing recalls based on fleeting public sentiment or partisan disagreements could undermine the stability of government and erode public trust in elected officials. Therefore, they crafted a law that balanced the people's right to hold their leaders accountable with the need to protect elected officials from politically motivated attacks. This delicate balance is reflected in the stringent requirements and high threshold for initiating a recall election. The requirement for specific grounds for recall, rather than mere unpopularity, distinguishes Maine's law from some other states. This provision aims to ensure that recalls are reserved for instances of egregious misconduct or malfeasance, not simply because a segment of the population disagrees with an official's policies. It forces petitioners to demonstrate a compelling reason for removing an elected official from office, rather than relying on vague accusations or personal attacks. This legal standard presents a significant challenge for the recall campaign against Governor Mills, as they must prove that her actions rise to the level of impeachable offenses, not just unpopular decisions. The legal hurdles embedded in Maine's recall law serve as a safeguard against the erosion of democratic norms and the potential for tyranny of the majority. By requiring specific grounds for recall and a high threshold of public support, the law protects the integrity of the electoral process and ensures that elected officials are not removed from office without just cause. It recognizes that while elections have consequences, those consequences should not extend to frivolous attempts to overturn the will of the voters. The law, therefore, serves as a bulwark against the dangers of mob rule and protects the fundamental principles of representative democracy. In the midst of growing tensions, the state found itself divided. Communities that once coexisted peacefully were now at odds. Families, friends, and neighbors were forced to take sides, driven by fear and uncertainty. The air was thick with suspicion, and trust was a rare commodity. As the conflict deepened, the very fabric of society began to unravel, leaving a fractured state in its wake. Across the United States, recall efforts have been gaining momentum. Citizens are increasingly using this democratic tool to hold elected officials accountable. From small towns to major cities, the call for recalls reflects a growing desire for political responsiveness and integrity. Maine's recall process is a unique aspect of its political landscape. Unlike some states, Maine allows for the recall of both local and state officials. This process requires a petition, a specified number of signatures, and a subsequent vote. It's a mechanism designed to ensure that elected officials remain true to their constituents' needs and expectations. The future of political discourse in Maine is, well, at a crossroads. The increasing use of recalls may signal a shift towards more direct forms of democracy. However, it also raises questions about the stability and continuity of governance. As Maine navigates these challenges, the emphasis will likely be on balancing accountability with effective leadership. This is undoubtedly a defining moment for Maine politics. The outcome of recent recall efforts will shape the state's political landscape for years to come. It's a time of reflection, decision, and ultimately action. How Maine responds to this moment will set the tone for its future governance and civic engagement.